So the Google Pixel is finally here, and I think Android fans, including myself, are finally excited that Google has created their own hardware to match their awesome software. Now, we've had Nexus phones in the past. Rest in peace. Let's take a moment of silence. Okay, enough of that. Now, by the way, this is in no means a review of the Google Pixel, so just keep that in mind. This is more of a sort of like a first impressions and thoughts of what I feel about this phone. Now, as I stated, the Nexus line has been one of my favorite phones. I mean, like the Nexus 6P was still, even today, my favorite and one of my favorite Android phones that you can still buy today. Google has finally came out and said, look, we're gonna create our own hardware to match our software. But here's the thing, when you look back at the whole entire Nexus lineup, you will see that they've had pretty amazing hardware. We've had phones with front-facing speakers, Nexus 6P. We've had wireless charging, which is still one of my favorite things. I still don't understand why companies don't put this on every phone. We've had phones with a lot of these features like IP68 rating, water resistant, that the Google Pixel is just missing. And I don't understand, because this was an opportunity for Google to really shine and say, look, this is our true flagship phone. You have amazing phones like the Galaxy S7 Edge. The Note 7 was also an amazing phone despite, its biggest battery flaw, which we're not gonna get into that because everybody knows about that. We also have the LG V20, which is, from a hardware perspective, it is amazing, and obviously running Android, which is also awesome. So Google comes out with their own phone and is missing a lot of hardware features. So think about this for a second. Google has had the opportunity to work with manufacturers on the hardware side. They obviously know what consumers want, yet they kind of took a step back. I almost feel like they were trying to see what the iPhone has been doing. In fact, I think this phone resembles a lot like the iPhone. By the way, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just truly believe that they're focused on a different type of consumer. So what I'm trying to figure out is, what is Google's target audience? So let's go ahead and break this down into a couple of categories. Number one, we have your average consumer. No, not that your average consumer, your typical average consumer, which is the person that doesn't really know if they want an iPhone or an Android phone. All they care about is getting on social media. So for them, convincing them that, Android is better because you can do and customize your wallpaper and do all this, they don't really care about that. So for them, that is one particular category that I don't think Google's really gonna win that war, because I hate to say this, but the iPhone just does more on the hardware side, and they just really stepped up their game in this release. So that's gonna be a tough battle, because both of these phones are priced exactly the same, okay? Then you have your Android enthusiasts. We'll call them enthusiasts, right? Like myself, somebody that if you name drop OnePlus, Axon, Xiaomi, Huawei, like these are the people that understand these brands, not your average consumer. They're gonna be like, what? Who the heck are those brands, right? These are the people that understand the core of Android. They understand what it can do. They understand the brands. They know about routing and all of that good stuff. Here's the thing about those people is this, that when you talk to them about the Google Pixel, trying to convince them to get a phone that doesn't have all of the features that, let's say, even the Nexus 6P had at a higher price point, some of those people are gonna feel ripped off. Here's the thing, until you finally use a Google Pixel phone, you will understand the methodology behind this phone. I wasn't convinced myself until I actually used it. Holy smokes, does this phone fly? I mean, the experience, not only on the software side, but also on the hardware, is fabulous. Amazing camera, amazing display, and a very solid battery life. And that's the thing, and I've said this on many of my reviews and phones, including the iPhone. I've always said this, and you know what? I wish I would have recorded this. I always ask people, what are the 3 most important things on a phone when you're looking to buy one? And in no particular order, it's always, I want a phone that has a great display, I want a phone that has a great camera, and I want a phone that has great battery life. And that is exactly what the Google Pixel has. The problem is convincing people to buy this phone, and I think that's gonna be a very hard challenge for Google. I'm seeing advertisements everywhere. Literally, almost every commercial that I see on television is from the Google Pixel. Even billboards and advertisements everywhere. Google's letting people know that, hey, we make a phone and it's pretty awesome. The problem is that I see is that it's competing directly with the iPhone at its given price point. That is a problem that when you look at your typical average consumer and you put these phones side by side, again, the average consumer doesn't care how you customize your phone. They don't care about all of the routing. All they care is Facebook, Twitter, social network, email. I mean, your typical stuff, right? And when you put this heads up, the hardware you don't have Apple stores like Google stores and all that. It's gonna lose. You just can't go heads up with Apple right now because Apple has that upper edge. They've been doing this way longer than Google has. That is the problem I see. Now, on the other side, you have your Android enthusiasts, the hardcore people. They look at this phone and most of them are gonna say, nope, not spending all that money, right? Unless you're a purist, or if you finally get the opportunity to use this phone, which I have, then you understand the value of this phone. I'm not saying this is the best phone I've ever used, but I will say that this is a very good phone, and make sure to stay tuned for my full review coming soon. Now, if you guys want to know where I picked up this awesome skin, check out the link down below. It is from D-Brand, and you know what? I like this little Nexus X that we have here because after all, this is what it's all about. Guys, thanks again for watching. Let me know what you guys think down below. I want to hear from you and your thoughts. You will catch me in the next one. Adios.